Good evening. Welcome to the December 2nd regular meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. This meeting is now called to order. We'll begin with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Codman,
Present.
Trustee Gazada,
Present.
Trustee Levin,
Present.
Mayor Garrity.
Present.
Are there any mayors and trustees announcements?
There are.
Great.
This is a very exciting evening. Tonight, the Village Board is going to vote on our budget, our 2016 budget. And I want to just say thank you to everyone who dedicated incredible amounts of time to put this budget together. Everyone here on the board, most especially our village manager, treasurer and deputy treasurer, and all the department heads who worked so hard, so diligently on putting together a very thoughtful budget. You may recall that the proposed budget from the manager included a tax increase, a tax rate increase of 2.83. Am I correct in that? Yes, 2.83. Even though we're keeping the levy, which is the total amount that's being the total amount that's being appropriated for the year is going down. The total amount for the year is still going down. It's going down even more. We're very pleased to say that the budget that we are going to be voting on tonight represents only a 1.65% increase in taxes. And there's lots more data and numbers for you on the village website if you'd like to explore this year's budget, this coming year's budget. But one of the challenges that we found this year was that the assessment roll decreased. So even though our overall tax levy, which is the amount that we're spending in our budget this year, has gone down, unfortunately, because the assessment roll decreased, the largest, most significant property that impacted that was the Avalon. And when I'm talking about the assessments, I'm referring to the certiorarities primarily that we had to accommodate for coming year. In fact, if the assessment roll had remained flat from 2015 to 2016, the tax increase would only be 0.93%. It's a tricky balance with the budget, and I'm very, very pleased with the budget that we are going to be voting on this evening. And that I welcome my colleagues on the board if you'd like to open with any remarks before we turn it over to the manager.
In regards to the budget process, it was very interesting because it was a little bit different this time around. There was different in regards to there was a page for each department of each manager, I should say, where they have different their goals and the different things that they wanted to have noted in our budget. So it was pretty detail oriented process. Obviously, as you guys know, we actually like to go line by line each item. So it was pretty interesting to see how much money we've been saving and how tight our managers have actually put this in each department itself. Has limited actually we are running all those departments, and I really want to thank our village manager and our treasurer and his office and all his staff for all the help that they did for us and all the questions that we have in regards to all this process. So thank you very much for all that hard work.
Yes,
Sure, yeah.
please, Trustee Codman.
Yeah, thanks to really a team effort to put the budget together. As the mayor indicated, reduced our expenditures, but at the same time, our revenues were reduced because of a large certiorari claim, and that's unfortunate. I think we were able to find more savings, and in the end, really create a very favorable, a very small increase in everybody's tax rate for this year. I think that next year is going to be even better, and I believe that because our new village manager has put some things into place that are really going to be focused on cost cutting and efficiency, and running our village in a way, in some respects, that we just haven't seen before. And a lot of that has to do with best practices and the experiences that he's had in the past. And I certainly look forward to that. I think there are going to be a lot of savings over the next year or so, really around energy. And that's something that's going to make a huge difference for our village. The LED project that we're putting in place is going to be big for us. Even though the savings is going to be savings we're going to see, we're not going to actually experience it right away because we're going to be giving that to the consultants and to the company that are doing the installation of the LED lights itself. From a long-term perspective, we're really going to save a lot of energy, and I think there's a lot of other opportunities across the village to save money. So I'm very proud of this budget. Everybody worked very hard, and I'm looking forward to voting in favor this evening. Thank you.
Sure. Sorry, I was actually putting something away. I think the budget process was really enlightening to sit through it. Numbers really tell a story, and it really, I think, was very enlightening to see where the different line items and where we're putting our stakes in the ground for some growth. I think the environmental issues really spoke to me as far as what we were approving. Some of the cutbacks, I think, are going to help make the village a lot more efficient. Certainly hearing from every single department head their vision, where they want to head over the next year, and frankly, next 2 to 3 years, is also really helpful as we invest in some of the village and invest in some of the people and in the processes and improving the processes for technology, communications, some of the marketing ideas, working with the boards. I think all of those things came out in the budget meetings for discussion, and it sets us in the right pace going into 2016. And I appreciate everybody's very long hours and gathering the data and giving us all the input and guidance that was tremendously helpful. So I thank everyone for the effort.
Mr. Zambrano?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, thank you all for supporting the initiatives and efficiencies that we've been able to bring forward to you for your consideration. I think that as the budget now is before you for your approval, I would like to just say that, the expenditures for that's of the budget that's being approved tonight, it's about $250,000 less than what it was. The expenditures were for 2015. I think it's we have been looking at several areas where we have been able to realize some savings. But actually, the other thing that I want to mention is that I want to thank the Treasurer's Office and as well as all the department heads. A lot of work went into this budget this year, and I can tell you that we're looking forward to the 2017 budget. And I can also say that we're also, as I mentioned in the work session, that we're looking into 2017 initiatives already. There's no time like the present to begin looking into the future. We're also looking forward to be able to provide you some financial information, projecting maybe 3-4 years into the future, so that any decisions that you make are made based on facts, and so that you can make better decisions for the taxpayers. One of the things that I would like to mention now is that as January rolls in, I think I would like to schedule a work session with the board so that you can give us, myself and the staff, your goals and objectives for 2016. I would like to do that, hopefully the first work session in January. But at that time, I would also like to take an opportunity to have the department heads present to you some of the goals that they have set for 2016 as you approve the budget. I think as far as the budget is concerned, that's all I have. So, thank you.
Move on to administrative reports. Village Manager Abraham Zambrano.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Actually, yeah, well, that was
Was
part of
that
my
your-
report too, but I just want to add actually just one thing. I want to thank the police, fire, and EMS for responding to some emergencies we had this past week. I think that it is a testament to their commitment, both the paid and the unpaid staff. I think we're very fortunate to have them. So I think that they responded very quickly to the alarm at Charter Circle. So the damages were able to be contained. I'm very proud to be part of this community. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Corporation Counsel Lori Lee Dixon.
Thank you. Hi, good evening. I just wanted to discuss two other resolutions on your agenda this evening. One has to do with your sponsorship of the Chamber's sponsorship of the Farmers Market at Market Square. They're going back to a full year-round Farmers Market. It will be returning to the same location that it can be found each Saturday. They did try an indoor market last year, and I guess they're returning to the Market Square location year-round, and I think that was a unanimous decision by all the parties. So we're pleased to have that on for this evening for your action, and then the manager can send out this standard letter agreement, and we can start to obtain the necessary insurance certificates. So thank you for taking that up tonight. The other item I wanted to point out was a late arrival, and it has to do with the project known as the Sing Sing Museum. As you know, a number of years ago, you established a capital project for the Sing Sing Museum, and you earmarked a dollar amount in that account. This was in anticipation of the project moving forward, and it is actually moving forward somewhat at light speed at the moment. HHRT has taken the lead and engaged the services of a particular consultant of some national renown, and he's been working through the process of developing RFPs and also looking toward business models, and his presence on a monthly basis here has assisted the Friends of Sing Sing Museum with a lot of really helpful topics. So HHRT approached us last week and asked if we could earmark some of the funds from the capital project to go toward assisting them in defraying the costs of this initial consultant. We have the money in the special purpose account, in the capital project account. So it's on tonight for your consideration. There are 3 invoices that are pending, and the total amount of those 3 invoices for services and expenses related to the services are $9,571.33. So we did put that on. That's item I on your agenda this evening. So I wanted to let you know and to thank you again for adding that for this evening's discussion.
Lieutenant Kevin Sylvester.
In honor of the holiday season, the meters have been bagged, and we've had a good response from that so far. People are glad not to have to feed the meters. We just want to remind everybody that the 2-hour limit is still in effect, and while they get a break from meters, they do have to cars moving. They can't park all day in those sections. That applies to the downtown business district as well as the uptown business district, Broughton Avenue, Pleasantville Road. Police Department has a blood drive coming up 2 weeks from today. It's going to be December 16th from noon to 5 p.m. here in the courtroom. That's in coordination with Phelps Memorial Hospital, and it's a great program because all blood donated will stay locally at hospitals. It's our 4th year of doing that now.
Are there any organizational announcements this evening?
No one from the public has one. I do.
Okay.
Putting on my documentary and discussion series hat for a moment. On Thursday, December 17th, please join the community at the Ossining Public Library at 6:30. As always, the film is free. This month's documentary and discussion series offering is a film called The Home Stretch. It's a film about 3 homeless youth in Chicago, and they balance being students and being homeless and juggling the challenges of being young people. We have a fascinating panel. It'll be one of the filmmakers and also include Karen DeTore, the executive director of IFCA, to offer perspective of how we help people living in poverty right here in our community. So I hope you'll join us Thursday, December 17th at the Ossining Public Library. There's more information at ossining-documentaries.org.
We'll move on to village board resolutions. Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board? Any of the resolutions? Is there anyone here who wishes to address the board on any of the resolutions? So we'll move into our board resolutions. Letter A, approval of minutes, November 18th, 2015, regular meeting. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the November 18th, 2015, regular meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board,
Aye.
Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter B, approval of minutes, November 23rd, 2015, special meeting. Resolved that the Town Board of the Village of Ossining,
Okay, we know we are.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the minutes of the November 23rd, 2015 special meeting as presented. Do I have a motion?
Come on.
So moved.
Second.
On the board,
All
Madam
the-
Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter C, approval of voucher detail report. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining hereby approves the voucher detail report dated December 2nd, 2015, in the amount of $410,283.01. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Letter D, 2016 budget adoption. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining has received from the town assessor for the year 2016 a combined total assessment of real property and special franchise properties with a valuation of $111,355,623, and whereas the Board of Trustees received the tentative budget on November 4th, 2015, in accordance with Section C4-3 of the Village Charter, and has since amended same after having held a public hearing and giving further consideration to requests and recommendations of all department heads. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Ossining does hereby adopt the budget of the Village of Ossining for the fiscal year 2016, showing that there be levied and assessed upon the sum of taxable and special franchise properties of the Village of Ossining as herein before listed, the sum of $21,382,612 to be raised by real property tax levy, which sum is more completely set forth in the budget for the Village of Ossining. And be it further resolved that the tax rate rounded to the nearest penny, and the same hereby is fixed at $192.0209 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the following water fund for the calendar year 2016. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the following sewer fund for the calendar year 2016. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the following capital plan for the calendar year 2016, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the following Section 8 fund for the calendar year 2016, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby authorize the following debt services fund for the calendar year 2016. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to comment, and then anyone else on the board, if you have further comments. I just wanted to point out a couple of items, more items about the budget, and that is that obviously it's below the tax cap for many reasons. We knew that that was going to be a goal for this year, not least of which is so that our taxpayers can get that delightful check that should be in the mail so any time now. And this year's check will include an acknowledgement that the school district has kept their budget under the tax cap, as well as the village and the town, if I'm correct, and the county as well. So this is your biggest check you're ever going to get out of the, as far as we know, out of the tax freeze program, at least as it's designed right now. So that was an important goal. But not only are we underneath that tax cap, we're about $315,000 beneath the tax cap. So that's a pretty good margin for us to feel good about, and it means We are still through efficiencies, partly through restructuring, partly through analysis of things like our projected health insurance claims, as well as fortuitous fuel costs, to really make some important changes to our budget, even from what was projected, what was originally presented by the manager a few weeks back. And with this budget, we're going to be reducing the burden on our fund balance, which is a very fiscally responsible approach. And I'm very proud of it, and I thank all of my colleagues on the board and in village government for, again, for this, working so hard to come to this point. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter E, resolution in support of the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce sponsored year-round farmers market for 2016. Whereas the support of the Village of Austin, the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce Chamber sponsors a farmers market that heretofore has occupied portions of the municipal parking lot number 6 at Market Square in downtown Austin on Saturdays during regular and winter seasons. And whereas the Chamber has conveyed a request to the village for the consideration of a proposed outdoor farm market in the same venue to cover the entire calendar year 2016. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby supports the efforts of the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce to sponsor a farm market in downtown Austin on a yearly basis and authorizes the village manager to enter into and all agreements with the Chamber in furtherance of the proposed market, with which agreements being subject to review and approval of Corporation Council. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter F, Fire Department, Austin Fire Department removal from active roles. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby removes Camilo Valencia and Wilmer Sari from the active roles of the Austin Fire Department Hall Hose Company number 5. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter G, Fire Department Drivers Training. Resolved that upon recommendation of the Fire Chief, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin hereby places James Nevins on driver training for the Fire Department. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter H, adoption of the 2016 fee schedule. Resolved that pursuant to Section 126-1 of the Code of the Village of Austin, the Board of Trustees hereby adopts the fee schedule for the year 2016 as annexed hereto and made part hereof. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
On the board. Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Letter I, village support of the HHRT efforts in furtherance of the Sing Sing Museum project. Whereas the historic Hudson River Towns, HHRT, in furtherance of its goal to expand and promote cultural heritage tourism in HHRT member communities, has taken the lead as a proponent of the Sing Sing Museum project, with the hiring of consultants for purposes of developing business plan and undertaking analysis of the historic structures. The establishment, coordination of a Friends of Sing Sing Museum Committee, and the obtaining of grants and funding. And whereas the Village of Austin is a member of HHRT and seeks to promote the unique opportunity for cultural heritage tourism represented by the successful development and operation of a Sing Sing Museum in Austin community. And whereas the village previously established a capital project in the name of the project, and now, in recognition of the importance of the project to the community and its residents and businesses, desires to authorize payment of certain expenses in connection with HHRT's effort toward bringing the project into fruition, specifically the costs associated with 3 invoices for consulting services and expenses to Brent D. Glass, LLC of Washington, D.C. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Austin does hereby authorize an expenditure not to exceed $9,571.33 to HHRT from the capital project account designated as Sing Sing Museum to defray costs in connection with professional consulting services and enumerated expenses of Brent D. Glass, LLC, and instructs the treasurer to forward payments to Historic Hudson River Towns, 180 Route 100, Latona, New York, 10536, for the specific purpose of payment of 3 itemized invoices, 2 dated November 3rd, 2015, and 1 dated October 8th, 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
On the board. I hate to have this without some sort of comment. Right?
Yeah, I guess I'll speak to this. The Prison Museum is a project that's been in the works for some time now, and fairly recently there's been a lot more exposure to the project, and this initial monies that we're giving to HHRT are going to complete an initial consultative review of the project. The expectation is that with this expenditure, it's really going to move the process along to allow us to gain other funds and work closely with HHRT to put together what I think a lot of people feel will be a very important landmark on the Hudson River and very important for the economy of our village. So we certainly look forward to the progress that's going forward here and the support that we're getting not only in the county but in the state of New York.
Thank you. I think it's also worth noting that this is monies that had been put aside by previous boards, in fact, a number of years ago, and we're just very pleased that the project is moving forward to this point where it makes sense for us to designate them to be used at this time. On the board. Oh, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we'll move on to continuing business of the board.
No.
New business of the board.
No, we're going to be going to a work session for the... No, ma'am.
Okay, we'll move into visitor recognition. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board this evening?
Would anybody like to speak with the board about any items related to the community of general interest to the community? Please come forward and please tell us your name and where you live.
My name is Alcino Meirelles. I live at the third place. The street is very
Hey,
dark.
excuse me, can you state your name and,
Alcino Meirelles.
I'm sorry, what?
Alcino Meirelles. Alcino Meirelles.
Thank you.
Yes, I live at the third place. In the evening is very dark in the end of the street. And I tried to call to different departments in the village. I spoke with different people so many times, and I don't have any answer yet. I don't know if that's the right place, the right time to talking about that.
What's your address, sir?
17th third place, Austin, New York. I was in Croton Avenue in the department for the village a couple of times. I spoke to, like 6 months ago, 3 months ago.
Right.
I'm in, Route 992, and nobody know nothing about it.
It just so happens that the village engineer is here, and he may have some comment that he can offer.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Morel. If I'm not mistaken, obviously I don't have the office notes in front of me. I think they have record of your call and your address and your concern on the lighting on Todd Place. What we're doing during the LED replacement program is we're holding off on any new lighting or decreased lighting until we put all the LED fixtures in place, both overhead lighting and decorative lighting. And when that's all said and done, we're going to take, because you're not the only person to call regarding there's too much light here, there's too little light there. And we're going to reevaluate it then and try to utilize some of the monies attributed within this project scope to use the contractor putting up the LED lights to either enhance our lighting or not for those concerns. So.
Okay, they changed the walls in the post closed in the area. I appreciate it, very good. Thank you. A couple of weeks ago. But by the hand, still is dark. And the problem is sometimes the cars come with people smoking and stay there. And sometimes I have barrels in my land. I have to take the glass out. And my wife is afraid to come out in the evening because, you know, you never know who's in front of the house. That's the reason I came here.
Well, thank you very much for bringing it to our attention. It sounds like it's something that will be looked at within the coming year, and they've just begun with the LED streetlights, and they're beginning with the existing fixtures. But thank you very much for bringing it to our attention.
I appreciate it.
No.
Thank you.
And I just want to add, though, that we had received a phone call from a gentleman, actually, back in July. We did speak at one point, because he had been traveling during the summer. And then, actually, then Village Engineer Frioli, you know, did engage in this conversation. I just wanted to clarify that to the board. But I know that, you know, this has been addressed also. So
Okay.
Well, we're hoping that, I mean, do we have a timeline when we
Yeah.
think this is going to be addressed? I mean, that would be my only, you know, I mean, you can walk up to the microphone, it'd probably be easier that way, but, no, if we could,
Yes.
just for the sense of giving them a timeline when we think it would be addressed.
Okay, I think all of the fixtures that are scheduled to be installed now, both decorative and overhead, should be completed within the next 3 to 4 months, and we'll evaluate it at that time. And it's, you know, we're going to go around in the winter a lot during, you know, when the days get darker earlier, and try to do it as they go. Try to catch them when they're here and utilize their services at that time. So I think within 6 months we'll have everybody's issues addressed the best that we can.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And also, if I may, Mayor, if I may ask, you know, Mr. Morales just mentioned a point that there's people loitering in front of his house. Maybe we can ask the police department to possibly try to address that situation so that when his wife comes out of the house, you know, they're afraid to come out. So if Lieutenant Sylvester, if you can possibly pass that along to your patrol.
Sure, we can have extra patrols there at night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
My name is Emilio Montero. I own the house in 16th Art Place. So I have the same problem with my neighbor. You know, like maybe 2 or 3 months, somebody going running to behind the bushes, my house. So I said, please, you know, I need a light. I need to have my family, you know, security, you know. Because in the end, the street is very dark, really dark. So a couple of feet off the end, have a light, is okay. In the end, is the problem. It's very dark. Ask if it's possible to have a light, you know, I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from Todd Place? Anybody else want to address the board on another item? Okay. Madam Clerk.
Okay, so like a motion to adjourn into work session?
So moved.
Board? Clerk?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And now we get to welcome our visitors for the work session. Manager
Thank you, Mayor.
Zambrano?
Actually, tonight we have a couple of items for your consideration. Actually, one of them, we have invited representative from Sustainable Westchester, Mike Horton, who's co-chair of the organization, as well as Leo Wiegman, who's the executive director, and Glenn Weinberg also to talk to the board about community choice aggregation. So,
Welcome.
Evening.
It's lovely to see you.
Good to see you all. So my name is Leo Wiegman. I serve as the executive director of Sustainable Westchester Incorporated, which is a new countywide nonprofit organization, and the Village of Austining is a charter member, a founding member of Sustainable Westchester. And we currently have 40 cities, towns, and villages throughout the county that are members, dues-paying members of our organization. We exist at the pleasure of our members to serve our cities, towns, and villages with innovative new programming in a number of different areas. And tonight we'll talk about one of those in the area of energy. I should mention as well that this program is one that will be of direct benefit to residents and small business owners throughout the village of Austining. And yesterday morning we were meeting with your colleagues in the town of Austining and this town supervisor Donnelly and Supervisor-elect Levenberg with a similar discussion. We are in the process of the final stages of putting together the program. The program is called Community Choice aggregation, community choice energy aggregation, sometimes called municipal energy aggregation. It is active in 6 states, but not yet in New York, and we are launching, with your assistance, the first program in New York State. People in other states, that municipalities that have pursued this program, have done so because they want to reduce the energy price risk for the small businesses and residents in their communities. The program has been very successful in California, and very successful in Illinois, Pennsylvania, and in Massachusetts, where it's been operational for about 20 years, driven by municipalities who aggregate all of the volume of energy, electric, for example, and gas within their municipality, and then bid that out as a whole. Our model here is that rather than ask each of our members to do that individually, is that our organization will do it for all of us collectively. And we petitioned this was not previously possible in New York State, so we had to change some regulations at the state level. If you don't like the way the games are played, and you got to change the rules of the game, right? So you can do what you need to do. So we petitioned on behalf of our member municipalities the Public Service Commission last December, 12 months ago, the same week that this organization was founded. And our petition asked for a pilot program of community choice energy, electric and gas aggregation for Westchester County, and to be managed by Sustainable Westchester on behalf of its municipal members, and that we wanted this program to have certain features. That became a petition in front of the Commission. The Commission normally takes about a half a year to reach a decision, or to reach a decision that they won't make a decision. But in this case, 8 weeks later, less than 8 weeks later, at the end of February in 2015, this year, the Public Service Commission issued an order that essentially green-lighted all of the terms and conditions that we sought to have for our members for community choice aggregation. So that's moving at light speed. And part of the background for that is that everything that we were asking for was parallel to and in direct support of the outlines of the Revising Energy Vision program that the governor and the state is working on. So we're working in concert with the long-term goals for revising the state energy plan. Since then, we began by asking municipalities to adopt a resolution to intend to participate in the program. So we started, Village of Croton adopted that resolution. Manager Zambrano was our manager at that point. And at that point, our lawyers got involved and said maybe we should do this by virtue of adoption of a local law, properly citing the general municipal law, the state code that we're relying on. So we now take the approach of adopting a local law. The Village of Ossining has done that. And the intent, what? You were the first.
Yes, we were.
Yeah.
Thank you for noting that, Glenn.
Thank you very much. Glenn Weinberg has been our program director for Community Choice Aggregation. We're the Roadshow. This is our 5th presentation in 36 hours.
Excellent.
First televised one, I have to say.
Oh, very exciting.
But of this week. So Village of Ossining was the first to adopt a local law. 25 other municipalities have done so since, as of last week. That represents collectively now 60% of all households and small businesses in Westchester County are in the program. The program is relatively straightforward, and we've gone to Con Edison to seek the aggregate data for that program, for that jurisdiction. So everyone who's a small business or residential customer of electricity in the Village of Ossining is aggregated, and Con Ed tells us how many kilowatt hours per month over the course of 12 months that is, and what the peak demand is at the most expensive hour for the year, which is actually also helpful information relative to what the energy providers will be bidding on. So we're working closely with the utilities. They're figuring it out on their side of the table as much as we are, and we're reporting back to the Public Service Commission on a regular basis on behalf of your village and the other 24 municipalities. We have, at this point, identified that we want to have an energy service agreement that is favorable and written by the municipalities and not by the energy bidders. So we've gone to put together the energy service agreement, which is this, Attorney Dixon has been very familiar with this, and we had a webinar Monday afternoon where we walked through the highlights of this for our municipal members. And every Monday at 4:30 we have an open webinar for municipal leaders to participate, dial into. All of that information is then published on sustainablewestchester.org, our community choice page there. The process has been that we are we surveyed and found recent agreements that energy bidders have agreed to that were favorable for protecting municipalities in Massachusetts and Illinois, and this document represents the best practices from those two jurisdictions, which, in terms of regulation, are similar to us, deregulated energy markets. There are a couple of blanks in here that we're asking you to sign off because we don't know who the winning supplier is, for example, and there are one or two pieces of general municipal law that we want to identify and insert. We will circulate, based on our conversations and feedback that we've been getting from Corporation Council, Municipal Council, a next version of this agreement, and we think we'll do that by the December 11th. So, that a week from Friday, 10 days from now, and that will we'll give you a week and a half to sign it and send it back to us, because we want the energy bid to go out first week of January. And we want the final text of this terms and conditions of this energy service agreement to be the major attachment to that bid. So any bidder who submits a bid will de facto be agreeing to the terms and conditions here. An important term and condition is that anyone who's participating in it may opt out at any time in any month at the end of that month's billing cycle at zero exit fee, zero charge, which is not necessarily the case if you have an energy service company now that you've gone to for your private supply. We hope in the course of aggregating all of these customers that the volume creates a volume discount. The goal we have, it's not a goal written into the Public Service Commission order for us, but the goal we have is to provide a energy supply price that is lower than the 12-month trailing average had you stayed with Con Edison. In other words, on March 1st when this goes live, if you go looking back 12 months, that the average price you did pay Con Edison will be higher than this price, the new fixed price, and that price will be locked in for 34 to 36 months. So it creates certainty about what people are paying. Now, in the event that the Con Ed price somehow miraculously drops below the price that we get, customers can, which has almost never happened, but customers will be able to opt back into the Con Ed price. Now, from the perspective of data privacy, which comes up, we're currently receiving aggregate data for all the customers in a jurisdiction as one number or a series of numbers by month, for example, and all the customers who use Con Edison as a default. We're also getting a number for all the customers who use an energy service company now, and about, was it 22%, 24%? In Con Ed service territory, about 24% of customers have opted for a third-party supply because it was already too expensive to stay with Con Ed. So 76% of the customers in your region are going to be in the program if they choose to make no change. And the let me be back. So the process is that we will go out to bid with this document as part of the package. First week of January, we're going to give the bidders 2 weeks to publish a bid with us. It's unlike buying a snowplow or other things, because you're not procuring this for your own municipal benefit and use. It's a program you're enabling on behalf of your constituents, if you will. So the general rules of responsible sealed bidding for general municipal practice do not apply, strictly speaking, in this case. At least that's what every other corporation council has determined. We just advised Terry Towns of that an hour and a half ago. But in any case, our goal is to have a price that's lower, a fixed price that's lower than the 12-month previous average. Our goal is as well to ask bidders to give us a price for a 100% renewable energy supply for that 34 to 36 month period. That price will probably be a tiny bit higher, a penny, let's say, higher than the fixed base price, if you will. So when we publish the bids and we choose a winning bidder, which I'll explain in a second, we will then have a 20-day opt-out period that will begin once we notify clients. Once we notify all the customers. So the process is that we start with what's a compliant bid. So we're working with an energy consulting firm that does this around the country to basically be prepared within the 1 hour time frame that that bid will be live before it perishes, because energy prices change all the time, to survey the bids that come in and tell us which is the compliant bid. There may be one bidder that has a compliant bid for both the base price, lower than 12-month average, as well as the 100% renewable, or there may be two different bidders that have compliant prices. And a compliant price is one that agrees to all these terms and conditions, as well as being the lowest dollar number. The second thing that you care about is whether that bidder is responsible. Are they creditworthy? Will they be in business long enough to fulfill the terms of the contract, or are there credit terms in place? So we're going to go to a reputable accounting firm who will vet the creditworthiness of the 10 final bidders or some subset thereof. We started the process 2 months ago by putting out a request for qualifications to energy service companies, of which there are over 70 in the country. We got responses and narrowed that down to about 10 that we think are likely to be the most responsible and are familiar with this market for us in New York State. So what you need to know as a municipality is that you have time for input on these 37 single-space pages, and we'll circulate a final draft of this end of next week to you. And you've already, if you've adopted the resolution to participate, already authorized either the village manager or the village mayor to sign necessary agreements / plural, because as soon as we finish electric, we're going to go to gas for the same process, so rinse and repeat. No new local law required. And so therefore, whoever is authorized to sign that will sign that and send this back to us, which gives the bidders assurance that they actually have 25 municipalities worth of electric volume to bid on. Otherwise, it's just theory for them. Anyway, once the bids are open, so to speak, which happens electronically, and the energy consultant we're working with in Washington, D.C., views those and vets which are the compliant bids, the lowest price wins in both categories, renewable and potentially the same bidder for both, renewable and fixed. At that point, the contracts are signed by the bidder, and the contract is between the bidder, each municipality. The bidder has to sign 25 contracts. You have only signed yours. And then Sustainable Westchester, because you want Sustainable Westchester to manage the program for you, so you don't have to add staff to do any of this, and you want us to manage the liaison relationship with the bidder, as well as with the Public Service Commission, who has certain reporting requirements they give us. And you want us to report back to you how it's going. At that point, we go back to Con Edison, and in the case of Austining, and ask them to give us the names and addresses of all the accounts in your jurisdiction, so we can do a notification to those account holders. Con Ed does not have email addresses for people, or so they claim, so we're not going to get an email dump, but we're going to get mailing addresses and account holder names. We will then work with the energy supply company to fund a mailing, postcard or something otherwise to those addresses, and I forget how many there are in the village of Austining. I want to say 8,000, but we can look it up. We have a number. It's a big number. I mean, bigger than Croton, but nonetheless, notification will go out. It's going to take Con Edison 7 days to scrub their data list, so we're mailing to people who are actually in the jurisdiction, but who are, not in Briarcliff, because Briarcliff signed in the program, so we have to do a data scrub there to be sure. Once those notifications go out, there's a 20-day period, which will happen sometime between late January through mid-February, when people, per the Public Service Commission order, will be able to opt out of the program if they choose. We're not going to rely on a simple postcard alone. We'll do some public outreach. We'll create a PSA for you. We are launching a specific website for this program, which I think is going to, we keep changing the name, but we'll have it fixed in the next week, and it'll launch in January. Westchester Smart Power, westchestersmartpower.org, which will be all about this program. So people will either call the phone number on the postcard they get, they'll either write us a note back, or they will go to the website and be able to leave the program and opt out if they want. If they don't do anything, they'll be in the program. And they can also, their third choice, do nothing, opt out, is to opt up to the 100% renewable. And in states that offer that, in programs that offer that, about 2 to 3% of the populace at large opts up. We've rashly told the utilities we think we're going to get 10% opt up, because Mike Gordon never does anything 100%. He does it 500%. So we think we'll have, and we're working very closely with Bedford 2020, which is a nonprofit that's an affiliate of ours, Obviously, they started in Bedford, but now they're looking countywide, and they're working with garden clubs and all kinds of other affinity groups to raise awareness about being able to go 100% renewable with your electric choice. And so they're helping working on the website and developing that to go countywide. So the lift for the village is to have someone appropriately authorized to sign this agreement by the between the 14th or 23rd of December and get it back to us, and to work with us on whatever public notification we come up with. We may do one notification that's the same for all of northern Westchester with all of the village and town seals on it, because it's one message that's going to the same.
Less printing.
Well, there may be some savings there, and the energy supply house may go out to a mail order house, a mail supply house to do this, a mail house to do this. Once the program launches, we think it will launch March 1st, or the billing period that for most people includes March 1st. At any point thereafter, people who have an ESCO and have a contract that expires with an ESCO can leave that ESCO and join the program individually. Or someone, if there's a change in account, someone leaves an apartment, moves away, they can then opt out of the program if they wish to, again, at no cost to themselves. And they will largely be able to do that through the website. The website will remind them every 5 seconds that they can opt up to 100% renewable. We haven't said that publicly yet, probably for the first time except right now, but it's on camera. Because there are
Could you say that again, please?
The website will remind them at least 3 times before they choose to leave that they could opt up. But the reason that we're doing this is to help get some volume savings, some group purchasing power on the table for our what will likely be 130,000 residents and small businesses in Westchester County. But there are other reasons to do this. We believe that if we know what the expenses of the most expensive kilowatt the most expensive power hour throughout the summer, which is going to be like August 3rd at 3 p.m. on a hot day when it's 98 degrees out, if we get smart meters into 10,000 homes and those smart meters know when to turn the air conditioner from 78 degrees up to 80 degrees and drop the instantaneous power demand and therefore avoid a brownout, that has a huge cost benefit savings to the utility. And we can monetize that and get ourselves a rebate for that. Now, we haven't explained that explicitly to everyone involved, but that's a long-term benefit once we establish a track record, right? What? That's not in there. It's not in there. But that's entirely. But that's entire. We've had discussions with the Public Service Commission about the value of that, and discussions with the utility liaisons who are working with us about that, and they understand it. But until we begin to develop a track record, we don't know how to monetize that yet. We have to quantify it first, then we can do the dollars, and then we can figure out, does the dollar potential savings pay for whatever small infrastructure improvement we need to do to make that happen at a mass scale. Secondarily, on the leaving energy efficiency to go to renewables, as community solar begins to propagate itself, and community shared solar is where you have one solar system that multiple partners share, or that an off-taker shares, that's not located where the solar system is. You've got a big parking lot, you put solar there, but you have 25 people somewhere else benefiting from it through an accounting process, getting credit for those. Once we have that, this consortium could actually buy that energy and put it into the supply, lowering the amount of renewable that the ESCO has to buy. So if you start with a renewable rate that's X pennies per kilowatt hour, and you've added a lot of community solar in the next year, that rate will actually begin to go down. And we can actually give a rebate to the folks who buy through that program, to all the people who've taken the renewable rate. Now, we haven't actually worked out the details, but in theory, there's nothing that prevents us from doing that once we get enough community solar built. And the state is doing a big push on community solar. So we think that this program will have multiple benefits beyond a cost savings for a household after March 1st on their bill. And so I don't know if there are particular questions or whether you...
You've answered a lot of my questions as you've gone on, but let me open up to the floor.
Just
Yes,
some
Mr. Cogman.
clarification, maybe for the public. So it sounds like you're going to have 2 tiers of electricity that you're going to provide the aggregation. There's going to be the renewables the renewable electricity stated by, and my understanding is that pricing is going to be higher.
We think it will likely be higher because in all the other markets
Sure,
that offer it
yeah.
at this point, it's a penny and
Sure.
a half, 3/4 of a penny
Sure.
higher.
And then the other one would come from energy sources that are not renewable.
The existing stream of energy, and on average, in the past 12 months, New York's energy supply mix has had 22% renewables in it. Most of that is hydropower. The state has been re-engineering its hydro plants, largely upstate, and also buys some power from Hydro-Quebec, from Quebec.
Canada, yeah, absolutely.
Canada. So we are fortunate and have a very different energy mix in New York than our immediate neighbor Pennsylvania, where there's very little renewable and a ton of coal.
Right.
Our coal is going down and largely being replaced by particularly in the metropolitan New York area, by refurbishing gas-fired plants so you get more kilowatt hours out of each therm of gas. And so as you retire the dirty coal plants, you're replacing them with a cleaner fuel. We'd like to actually create a scenario whereby 100% of the electric supply for Westchester County homes and small businesses is renewable by 2020. That's a little bit aggressive because it calls for a 20,000% increase, but we think we can get there.
The other question I had was, actually two other questions. One other question was with the ESCO scheme. You know, there's two ways you buy. You either buying what Con Ed gives you, and I have an ESCO now. I also have solar panels on my house too, and that's kind of interesting because
Right, you've just
that's
finished the
kinda my
solarized
second-
program here.
That's the other question. But so, what if the company that wins this bid is different than my ESCO?
So if you currently have an ESCO, as you just said you do, and you're not on, 1 out of 5 customers does that, or 1 out of 4 customers has
Right.
an ESCO because they got tired of the pricing through Con Ed or whatever,
Right.
You won't be in this program. However, if you want to opt into the program, and somebody actually told me they did this earlier today, is they looked at their contract and realized that they were beyond the period where they had an exit fee with their contract with their ESCO.
Right.
So they told their ESCO, January 1, put me back, I'm leaving you, I'm going back to my first wife, Con Edison, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going back so they can be...
Well, I would never want to go back to Con Ed if I could possibly help it. So I would probably just wait until you were ready to make the switch, right? Because I could cancel my ESCO and then go to the aggregation once it's set up, correct?
Right. We can't...
However, I did call my ESCO after having a conversation, I think it was with Mike.
Yes.
There are two different ways to use an ESCO, either locking in for a particular period of time, or you can do a month-to-month. So I changed my lock-in to month-to-month, so
in which
at
case
any
the rate may
point.
float.
Right, it floats, but it's still cheaper than Con Ed, and it also gives you the opportunity to opt in immediately.
Right.
You don't have to wait till the end of that period.
Yeah, because that would be something.
Yeah, there are many different energy service companies out there that have been individually sort of direct marketing to hundreds of thousands of customers. So it's hard for us to know. We can't keep track of the terms and conditions. But those are two general: locking in for a certain period of time or going month to month.
And so the last question I have is about the solar panels, which I have a lease arrangement. I have a fixed fee that I pay for that. So when you talked about the aggregation, are you talking about that solar energy being purchased by the...
That's sitting on your roof, and you have a contract with your provider for that. So that would be...
Well, right now I give whatever my excess goes to Con Ed.
Right. So when I mentioned the impact of renewable installations, what I was describing is what the state is calling... They have actually too many different names for it, but I'll just call it community shared solar.
Oh, I see.
Where you have a solar, where you have, in this case, a solar photovoltaic system that is specifically designed to be shared by multiple electric users who may not be located underneath the roof of that thing.
Got it.
You may have a co-op building that has a carport. You put solar on the carport, and there are 10 tenants or 25 tenants in the building that share that solar. It may be that kind of arrangement. Where through multiple remote net metering, you're creating an entity that's benefiting. Now, as those are starting to take form, and this program is brand new. It was announced in July of this year. Phase 1 is taking off now. Beginning Phase 2 starts in April of next year. by the end of next year, we anticipate that there will be several dozen such systems in operation where you have multiple beneficiaries from a single solar system. And we could spur that by saying we could be the off-taker on behalf of those beneficiaries and lower the renewable price. So the renewable price, will be essentially is a capped price. It may well go lower as community shared solar comes online, specifically for the purpose of feeding that.
I have a couple of questions. Let me just pick up on the solar. For example, certainly John and I both produce.
Any quantitative questions go right to Glenn Weinberg.
Hi, Glenn.
Go ahead.
So we have, for example, at my home, and I know I'm not the only one, we produce more. We're energy producers because we have enough solar panels that we produce more than we need in my home. So I get a Con Ed bill. Will residents continue to get a Con Ed bill because I pay my transmission fee and the maintenance fee? And so I could opt in case something ever happened to my solar panels, but essentially nothing would change for a solar customer who's producing their own energy?
That's correct. So if you have a current, if you currently, however, well, everyone is connected to Con Edison because Con Edison is delivering the wire to your house.
So everybody's still going to get a Con Ed bill?
People will, so regardless of whether you generate your own electricity from the solar system on your roof, as the two of you do, or whether you don't, because you have too much shade or whatever, the process for billing will stay exactly the same. Under this new system, what is going to happen is there's if you ever read your electric bill, and many of you probably do, you have a supply piece of the bill and a delivery piece of the bill, and then all the taxes and stuff. The supply piece of the bill, which if you were with Con Ed used to just say the numbers, will this say your supplier is company X? For their information, look on page 4, and on page 4 it'll give you company X name and the phone number and the mailing address. That's the only thing that'll change. Con Edison will collect the money from each of those 130,000 homes or small businesses and remit to the supplier whatever is owed to the supplier for that piece of the bill. They do that now on an individual basis for each of you who have ESCOs. Pardon me? Oh, you get a separate
bill from the ESCO and a delivery bill from Con Edison.
Okay, so that's a little bit unusual, but for many customers, they get one bill and remit.
Well, I want to. Do anybody else have questions for our guests? And then I just want to say thank you very much for coming. And for the public who is not a regular viewer of Village Board meetings, we haven't spoken about Sustainable Westchester in a little while. It's as Leah Wegman acknowledged, it's a nonprofit organization, and its members are municipalities, and you're up to 40 municipalities in Westchester. Right. And this is a terrific example of opportunities that can come to us here in the community. In this case, we'll be saving energy costs for our residents and small businesses, and people will also have an opportunity to opt up to green energy, to renewable energies if they'd like. And it's just a wonderful example of shared capital, shared intellectual capital. For all of us in the member municipalities to take advantage of. So thank you very much for the incredible programs.
I wish you good success. Congratulations on adoption of your budget without any to-do, so to speak. So congratulations on making the tax cap. I know Manager Zambrano is well practiced at meeting the tax cap. Secondarily, I do want to mention that there is a cost associated with launching this program, but your dues have covered you for it. We're going to pick up expenses on behalf of the village for acquiring the aggregated data and so on.
Well, thank you.
So your dues are hard at work already. Your dues notice will be in the mail soon for next year.
Looking forward to that. I'm sure we'll process it timely.
Thank you. I hope you left $1,000 in the budget for that. All right.
Certainly there.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, bye-bye. We're more than happy to take any feedback you have on this. Thank you.
Next work session agenda, Mayor and trustees, and this is a request from the Shabbat Lubavitch from Camp 15 Campswood Road. They are requesting permission to hold a first ever menorah car parade in Ossining, and they will go into Briarcliff also, and it will take place on Sunday, December the 6th at 5 p.m. Beginning from 15 Campswood Road. Down Route 133 onto Route 9, and they're going to turn down Brook Drive, and then come back down on Route 9 until they reach 133, and then back to Pleasantville Road into the village of Briarcliff. They're estimating that the parade will last about 25 minutes until about 5:25 p.m. They've been already in touch with Lieutenant Sylvester, who has made also some arrangements and made some suggestions as to the actual route. So I think this is something that has already been visited by the police department. They have also requested that the fire department participate, and the Chief Scarduzi has agreed to participate in the parade as well. So we basically need for you to give us permission to go ahead and,
Yeah, I have no objection other than to understand if Kevin and the fire and the police department are okay with it. I think these things are great, and I just want to make sure that we're not expending too much effort to. I mean, we certainly have parades for other denominations of religion, so
It's a pretty simple operation. We're going to start at his facility on Kempwoods Road. We spoke with the rabbi about where we can go, that it's fairly easy through traffic. It's not really manpower intensive, and we accommodate a lot of other groups with things like this too. So something that we can do, so we're glad to help out.
But this is something different than the menorah lighting, which is also happening on Tuesday?
The menorah lighting, that will take place. There's going to be a ceremony on Tuesday, December 8th at 5:30 p.m. at Market Square. Initially, we had thought of having it at a different place, but I think Market Square will be a much better location. There's better parking, and I think more accessibility for people to congregate. I think is a much better place. So,
Okay.
Good.
All right.
So you just need to give you the thumbs up, right?
Yes, correct. Yes. And
I'm
just-
good.
Thank you. And the tree lighting also, which will take place this coming
Friday.
Friday, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, December
The 4th, correct.
At 5:30 at Market Square?
5:30 p.m. at Market Square also, yes. And I
Okay,
also
and-
want to remind, actually, the board, this coming Saturday, back at the work session of July 22nd, you actually authorized and gave your authorization for a family from Massachusetts, excuse me, to hold a parade. This is to celebrate the birth of a child because she had been given some really bad news about the possibility of the child not being able to, be born, as we will say, healthy. And so that will be taking place this Saturday. I have to find out the specifics, but I know that the board already had given the thumbs up back on July 22nd.
I remember that.
I've been in touch with Father Byrne from St. Anne's Church, but that was not part of one of the processions that they had initially submitted back in January of 2015. But I know that they had come to you at his recommendation.
I do recall.
For that to take place. So we'll coordinate it with the police department also.
As I recall, it's just around the St. Anne's block.
It's going to start on Spring Street, go up
Oh.
Church,
Oh,
go
it's-
across
oh.
9, and then right up to Church, right up to
Okay.
St. Anne's.
Then I do not recall correctly. Okay.
So,
And how many
It's a
people are they
it's a short
expecting?
parade.
very short procession, maybe 50 people. They're not anticipating any road closures. It's really not, but just wanted to remind you about that, so.
Okay.
I also request, actually, that's all I have, but I request that the board consider going into executive session to discuss personnel related to specific individuals.
I forgot to raise something in new business, so just like to raise it. I was waiting for an email, actually. I met last night with the Austining Economic Council, Development Council. What? Is that not the right time to bring that up?
I thought we were going to discuss.
Funding for that? That was for next week?
We don't have any information on it.
Okay. I'll take it back. I'll go in reverse.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I thought, actually, when I read the email, my Wi-Fi keeps coming in and out, but I thought it said that I should bring it up tonight, so I'll just wait. Well,
Okay. Been a busy night. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn to executive session?
Second.
I guess we can say on the board, Madam Clerk.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And before we close, I just want to say, yes, we do have an awful lot of exciting celebrations. This is a time of year where people gather with their friends, family, and community for so many reasons. I hope you will join us this Friday, December 4th, for the tree lighting at Market Square. It begins at 5:30. There'll be cookies and hot chocolate and music and Santa and all sorts of fun, as well as the following Tuesday. We'll be back at Market Square for the menorah lighting. And yesterday was Giving Tuesday. If you had an opportunity to donate some additional funds to an organization that speaks to your values, then I hope you did. And you don't have to only do it on Giving Tuesday, of course. This time of year, we have much to be thankful for and many people and organizations to be thinking about in our community and throughout the world. So whether you choose to support first responders or educational groups or environmental groups or the arts or veterans or any community groups, I know I will be very mindful of so many of the organizations, particularly those right here in Ossining, so many of whom we see in action every day, but particularly in this last week, the first responders have had a heavy lift over the Thanksgiving holiday, and we are very grateful to them. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Please join us next week for the regular old work session, and I think it'll be just a work session. That'll be December 9th. We'll be back at Village Hall, 16 Croton Avenue. Good night. This meeting's adjourned.